the whole of August, Texx Talks is celebrating Women's Month with our good friends Tom's, the only music store. Tom's have generously given us the M Audio Vocal Studio Pro Kit to give away in the month of August. I'm actually using it to record this right now. The kit includes studio quality headphones and a condenser microphone that all plugs into their signature USB audio interface. Perfect for getting studio quality audio right at home. We want you, the listener, to nominate an exceptional lady that you think would benefit the most from this opportunity. Simply head over to our pinned post on social channels and tag the woman who you think deserves this gift. And make sure you follow Texx Talks for all our exciting Women's Month episodes. That's Texx with a double X. Also, if you're thinking about picking up an instrument for the first time or you're looking to upgrade, just head on over to any one of the several Tom stores around the country where their epic staff are ready and waiting to say, "How's it?" Hello and welcome to Texx Talks. I am Texx, and today I am talking to a singer and songwriter whose deeply soulful vocals and lyrics carry profound messages that resonate with everyone who's had the pleasure of hearing her sing and seeing her perform. This Eastern Cape-born musician has created songs that combine soulful folk with symphonic movements, Xhosa lyrics with African polyrhythms, and her raw delivery disrupts your senses as she sings of love and loss and home and hope. I am, of course, talking about Asanda Mvana, better known to the rest of South Africa as Msaki. Msaki, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm really good, Texx. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Women's Month, firstly.
Happy Women's Month to you too, yeah.
How has August been treating you so far?
It's been really good. Quite chilled. I've been homey and just taking each day at a time, actually. Haven't done a lot, just working, yeah.
I saw that you were involved in an incredible initiative spearheaded by Platoon, who are an artist service agency, where they got a street artist named Bongs to paint this beautiful mural of you and a few other musicians in honor of Women's Month that sits in Maboneng until October. What does it mean to you to be a part of an art project like that that's so striking?
I really love it because it's also just testament to Platoon as an incredible platform and partner actually to work with, because they are so creative when they think about marketing, and even having that as a vision and as something that, you know, that's been executed so well, because also Bongs is so incredible. Like, what a great artist. And I think he captured more than just portraits. Like, they've got feeling, you know. So each of the depictions of the ladies there, like, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see the spirit of Zalani there. Oh, that definitely feels like Ami, and I'm seeing something else about myself that I haven't realized before. So it's really, really beautiful. I love it.
What is your relationship with Platoon? Because I see that they've been quietly signing up very impressive musicians and then helping fund their projects. Are you releasing your music through them?
I'm working with them as my creative entity, One Shushu Day Artistry, and also as Alt Black, which is kind of my curation space for alternative African musicians, and also just like moving out to the African diaspora. So they engaging with me as, you know, as not as an artist really, and we've got like a lot of collaborations that we're going to do. And yeah, some people, I think that's the cool thing about Platoon, is that they're meeting us all at different places. I know some people are signed directly as artists, but even then that has a different meaning. They've taken the meaning of signing people to a different level, because they don't want to own anything. They just want to really get the message out and to support people where they really need support.
Yeah, I suppose, and for an independent artist like yourself, it's indispensable for a company to sort of come on board, or a service agency to come on board and, you know, provide funds and provide support, but not mess with the creative process.
Amazing. And that's the thing, is that like I've found the support and the non-financial contributions way more valuable, because, you know, I've been doing this for a while. So the funds weren't really the issue. It was just like someone to sometimes think with, that's outside of my creative space, that's outside of my business lens. and some people to sort of forecast with that have got experience and a sort of specialized knowledge in this. And Denzel is amazing. He's like one of the most incredible minds I've ever met, and so is the team at Platoon, like Hagar and Lulama. There's just incredible women there that are working and are quietly, silently doing such amazing work in the background for a lot of artists.
That's incredible. I also wanted to say congratulations on the launch of your new single, Blood, Guns, and Revolutions. I mean, it really is a gorgeous and very powerful piece of music. And I think what strikes me and, maybe people who listen, the opening lyrics, and you talk about 4,000 rounds of bullets ready to break black bodies. It's such a incredibly powerful lyric. How do you tap into such intense subject matter like that to do it justice? Where do you go in your creative process?
Oh my. Thank you so much. I'm glad that the song resonates and
It's
it
beautiful.
struck a chord with you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I don't know, Texx, I would be lying if I said that I had any kind of understanding of what that process is like. All I know is that this is definitely a way that I've been given to navigate through life, whether it's joyous times or whether it's deeply traumatic times. So at a time, where you're trying to make sense of the place that you're in, you're trying to make sense of black pain and trying to locate, where all these feelings go and where this trauma goes when it hasn't been dealt with. For me, art is always a place to go, almost as a way to petition in the spirit for things that can't be petitioned for in this plane. Because I'm like, guys, really, I mean, justice for black bodies, is it something to really hope for without having heartbreak? Because it seems like we protest, and then we still come out by being almost free, or we almost get that thing. I think of my friends that were giving up so much to be part of the Fallist movement, to only almost get there and to even be criminalized for some of the activities and for the things that they really wanted to stand up for. So it's hard to protest and to see nothing happen. And that's why like song for me is a place to try and gather some kind of strength or some courage to try and bring back into my real life, to be like, okay, what needs to happen on this plane as a black person to try and strive for justice? Because man, it's daunting.
And I mean, now it couldn't be a better time to release a song like that, with everything that's going on socially and politically on a local scale, but also on a global scale, because, Black Lives Matter has never been more relevant. And I mean, I saw a meme the other day basically saying, like, why, it was a picture saying, like, why is equality so hard? Like, this debate is so intense. Like, why is it so difficult to achieve something that should be so universally accepted?
Honestly, that's the question. That really is the question. And the thing is, if you look at something as deep as, for instance, white supremacy, you're like, that is actually a disease. So why are we out here trying to engage with a really like depleted sense of reality? Like, how did people even get to this point where they thought that they were better because of their skin color? And then that shifts a whole like way of navigating economy, of how people deal with capital, of how people deal with space and time. It's the weirdest thing, and we'll forever try to figure out how it happened. But here we are dealing with the daily repercussions of it, and those are the things that hurt people, and they don't have the language for it.
Am I correct in saying that Blood, Guns, and Revolutions is about what happened at Marikana? I mean, I feel like that could be one part of the song, but I also feel like it's very layered in terms of the lyrics and where you go.
I think it's probably where I come from. Where I come from is the part that's most complicated for me, because the Marikana part is the simplest one. That's where I end up.
In South Africa, a deadly confrontation at the world's third largest platinum mine. We need to warn you that this video is extremely graphic. You're going to see police opening fire on striking workers. It's believed the miners, who are demanding better pay, were armed with guns, machetes, and sticks. They charged police, and then there was this.
Where I'm just like, oh, well, here we are. How did this happen when we, are a country that has such a such a painful past, that like in 1976 we had a massacre, and now in this supposed new democracy, how does that like repeat, so the place where I'm coming from is more, it's complicated text, and that's the thing, is like art for me holds all those questions, all those complications, all that disillusionment, all that confusion, all the gratitude. It can hold all of that, because it's a conversation with the previous generation saying, look, some of you gave up your youth for this, and you were out there running away from mellow yellow. Some of you crossed borders to go and train in the MK. You're willing to lose your life for this freedom, and here it is, and it doesn't make sense. The shape of it doesn't feel right because of what inequality is. Like inequality is just that the deep ravines of inequality in this country slap us in the face every single day as young Black people. And so for me, it was like, what does youth mean for me if I'm trying to figure out this legacy and what this inheritance is? And that's what I go through for the first two verses. I'm just like, okay, the gaze of the martyrs lies heavy on our wills, thick in the throat of youthful self-inflicted guilt. We didn't even know, we didn't have words for freedom. We didn't know how to live it out because it felt so unfree. And that was just because so much was not addressed when, power shifted hands. So that's where it starts. And that's the tough part for me, because how do you articulate that? And literally, like, art is all I have to ask these questions.
So your art is also a way for you to process what's happening in the world.
Definitely. So that's why it's got all these open-ended things, because I don't have any of the answers.
I think, a lot of us have had time during lockdown, much more time than, any of us were prepared for, I know I have to reflect on how I live my life and my certain life choices, and maybe some of my habits are a bit toxic. But I've also had extra time to work on creative projects, and to, read the book that I wanted to read that I haven't gotten to, or, for me specifically, it's reading based and work based. But have you used this time to engage in any sort of new activities, or have you been prioritizing your time to spend it with family? Has anything changed for you during lockdown?
Definitely. And it's a bit of both of what you say. One, out of necessity, I've had to just learn some skills really fast because I don't have a great engineer on hand. I've had to get better at using programs and send stuff off by myself with confidence, I also have felt quite a demand on that sort of personal life, like personal time and work time. And everything collapsing into each other has been really hard. I've struggled, with just having enough energy to do family stuff, be present for the kids, meet deadlines, send stuff off, and have time to, be a present partner. It's been hard. I don't want to lie. And so for me, no extra things like picking up skills. It's literally just getting through the day, being able to take a little bit of a rest before waking up at 1:00 to have my own time so that I can be an artist. And every day is a miracle for me right now. Getting work done is just, I'm like, okay, well done. And then we move on to the next day. And if I'm not able to do everything that I wanted to do, then it's also just learning how to give myself a bit of grace, catch a breath, have a bit more energy, and then try again.
Because it's you and your partner, and how many babies at home?
I've got 3 kids, so 5, 3, and 11 months as of 2 days ago. Okay. So they're all little, and they need the thing is that people don't know that kids under 5 don't know how to even bath themselves properly. You can put them in the bath, but you need to intervene, before you take them out. You need to figure, some, my 3-year-old thinks she can dress herself, but she puts everything on backwards. And because she she wants to be independent, it makes it take twice as long. And by the time everybody's washed and fed, half the day is gone, guys. It's 12.
Oh my gosh.
And you have emails and you're tired and you have, I haven't showered. What's the time? No, I haven't had time to shower today. I'm going to shower after this interview. So, but yeah, small people are amazing because that's also just what you need to pull yourself out of your own funk. So just showing up for them in the practical ways has actually also saved me from my own mind, from my own dips in my emotions as well, because they don't deserve any of that. And I think that's really what makes me grateful for motherhood.
100%. And then, I mean, apart from Blood, Guns, and Revolution, you released a track with Sanal Musician, which I actually was the last track I heard on the radio on the way to record this this afternoon. So I was like, it's a sign. And Ubomi Abumanga is just, it's so beautiful. And I was in the car with my dad, and my dad was like, oh, this song is dope. And I was like, yes, actually, I'm going to like interview the vocalist on this track for my podcast. And he was like, oh, tell her I love it. I'm like, oh, cool.
That's so cool. That's so sweet. Oh my gosh.
I mean, essentially, like, that's a track that talks about being like stuck without any idea of like how to move forward. And I think that in a time like this, it's a sentiment that a few people, more than a few people, can relate to. Like, do you think that the success of the song at this time maybe feels a bit ironic?
Definitely, I really think so. And I got tweeted the other day by someone who said, Msaki, you lied, ubomi bumile, which means Swaggy, you lied. Life has come to a standstill. And I found part of me is like, wants to say, put your big old panties on. But I'm also like, look, it's also an opportunity to move with sympathy and to be like, I know things are not easy, but you really need to speak yourself out of this, because things are not going to be like this forever. And that's what the song says, that like, there's something on the other side of this. And even if we can only at that day when your life feels like everything is stuck, like the birds are still chirping, the sun is going to rise, we really need to find a way to dig deep and like keep trying, because at the end of the day, nothing is going to happen if you don't try. Even that, like, nothing is going to move if you don't at least try. That's all we can do. We can show up and try.
What's that saying? It's never the things you did do that you regret, it's the things that you don't.
That's the saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the one. So let's go back to the beginning of your career. When did you realize that music could and would be a viable career option for you? Am I right in saying that you were quite a late bloomer?
Most definitely. Yeah, quite late to wake up to, I think my own artistry in general. And I did take a little bit of a detour route to get here, and it was through visual art, where I saw that creativity is quite a powerful force, and one that is desperate for my attention in my life. And that was late. I didn't choose to go study something creative. I went to study law after school and ended up moving to graphic design, which followed on to darkroom photography, which led me to fine art, and that led me to music, which is insane, but that's literally what happened. Yeah.
That's incredible. And do you think it's safe to say that your feature on Moby Dixon's Love Color Spin, which was released in 2015, I think, if I'm correct, do you think that was what set things off in terms of launching you into the mainstream specifically?
Definitely. Yeah, because I had been playing, these tiny shows, trying to build my audience as indie musicians do, with a guitar and the boot and a pack of EPs. And yeah, essentially that's my humble beginning, just trying to figure myself out in the live space. And at the time I was also contributing to simultaneously building a little bit of a performance community here in East London, joining some poetry circles, starting some stuff for live music. And also just like needing to do it close to home, because my parents were just petrified of this industry, and I needed to demystify a little bit of its aspects to them. We had the big scary story of Zahara, who went to Joburg and got exploited. So it wasn't going to work for me to, pack my bags and go to Joburg and try and start this thing in the big city lights. I had to start small and close to home. But Moby Dixon, yeah, he's the one, because he found me in that space where I was at home playing. And we recorded Love Color Spin in like 10 minutes. And then
in 10 minutes?
Because it was a take. It was just one take. And then I left, and I had been running away from him, because I was like, why would I want to come into a house track, even though I loved house? I just didn't see it. I was like, okay, all right, then I'll come. And he came. He literally picked me up from a small show I had done at the Arts Theatre, and was like, come, let's go to studio now. And if he hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't be in the space that I'm in. So it's quite a game changer.
Shout out Moby.
Yeah, Moby. He's
But
persistent.
but like that puts you on the radar of other DJs and producers as well. And I mean, you've collaborated with Black Coffee, and then more recently with Prince KB on Fetch Your Life, which, I mean, I'll be very honest, like it's one of the most inspirational house tracks I think I've ever heard. And that's owing largely in part to your vocals that are just exquisite. What are your feelings around the success of Fetch Your Life, and also the inspirational like movement of sorts that it's inspired for people to literally go out and fetch their lives, which I think is amazing.
That's pretty insane. Quickly, I was so shocked to actually find out that Black Coffee had a copy of my EP. So he claims to have known about me before Moby dropped the song. But I know a lot of DJs didn't know about me, and I got so many requests to collaborate after that. So one is definitely Prince KB. And that song is still the gift that keeps on giving. Like the stories and the testimonies from it literally deserve a documentary. And I'm trying to connect with some of the people that have given me feedback about the incredible things that they've done. And I'm always in awe of them because I'm like, you guys think that this is about a song. Like you took a step out of many steps that you had taken before to get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm going to make the decision to leave my job and start a bakery, or I'm going to leave this toxic relationship. It's insane stories like that where people have just gone and fetched their lives. And for me, this is also funny that like this is now a saying, in pop culture and in, dare I say, pop culture. No, I mean like on Twitter, I've seen people say fetch your life. And I'm just like, oh, wow, that came from somewhere in my brain. That's so strange, So
In fact,
it really moves me.
a friend of mine posted a photo the other day, a selfie. Like, when people post their selfies, and then they've got this inspirational quotes. And she posted a selfie, and the caption was "Fetch Your Life."
Wow.
I was like, I've got to tell you that. I think you'll appreciate that.
That's amazing.
But another pretty fantastic partnership that you've been involved in is your one with Trezor. And I mean, you've released 2 tracks together. You did Sondela, and then you did Pearls to Swine. But I wanted to talk about Pearls to Swine because I love that music video. And for me, like the monochromatic set and the styling was like so on point, and it reminded me a lot of like a Wes Anderson type aesthetic. And I know that you directed that video as well, which is like even more impressive. How did you approach that project?
So thank you so much. Yeah, I can't believe you picked up all those things, but which means that I've done my Wes Anderson nod a bit of justice, because I love his sort of symmetrical way of dealing with direction of photography, and just I'm just in awe of artists like that, because he's communicating something emotional with a technical choice. So for me, that was like, well, this relationship is so like symmetrical and well cropped, and everything's in the center, but there's no love. It's in this concrete, bland house. Everything is like muted tones. And every once in a while you see flashes of silver, which was meant to be like symbolic of the, silver lining because we're dealing with some hectic, are they figures of speech? No. What are those English sayings? Those old things like, after pride comes the fall. Please help me. No. What is it called? What is that called?
I mean, you would never say that I studied English, because I have absolutely no idea.
It doesn't matter. Those funny sayings like after pride comes the fall. And what's the other one? The one that the song is based on is casting pearls to swine, or something like that.
People who are listening to this podcast and who know the answer to the question are literally screaming right now. They're like, it's blah, blah, blah. Why do you not know this?
It happens. We'll think of it like, I don't know, you'll think of it once you've left. I'll think of it when I finally get to shower. It doesn't matter.
I tell you what, whatever the actual word to that is, that's what we're calling this episode. That'll be the tagline. So we'll never forget.
That'll make my life. Yeah. No, that's fine. I just hope my English teacher's not listening. But I had fun, man. I just had fun. It was just another way to express creativity for me. It's just another language that's been afforded. So I basically started storyboarding the song quite soon after I wrote it. And it's this cheeky wink at love, in a sort of long-term setup where you start taking each other for granted, and you're not seeing how the other person is communicating love. And it's funny because like Tresor's character is like complaining about how, you know, 9 to 5, I know where he is all the time, blah, blah, blah. And the girl's just like, I'm trying to show you all this love emotionally and you don't see it. And it happens all the time where people are talking past each other, but like in their mind, they're showing love, but they're missing the mark, you know? So I think all the visuals had to speak to that. And that's all it was. It was about communicating all that inside knowledge in a visual space. And the team that I had at my disposal was insane. Crazy, crazy, crazy team. Art direction, co-art directing, and also just production design was Unatim Konto, who's incredible. I mean, he's useful from wardrobe to like prop making to conceptualizing costumes with me to, you know, and there's also Gift who does all my outfits during the year when I'm performing live in front of people.
Oh my God. R.I.P. For now. Let's not get too dramatic.
I'm just taking a moment of silence here. Thank you. And then also my good friend, Francois from Rhodes, he was in my art class and I love him to bits. He was a sculpture major and now does like a lot of digital art. And he made these cotton wool clouds and like made an entire silver tube installation out of like, what's that vent stuff? Air conditioning vent.
Oh, wow.
He put together this incredible installation. I just had to stand in front of it in a striking silver outfit and go through all the emotions, go through the most on camera. That's all. It was fun making a video with my friends. Actually, I miss that life.
Just as a side note, what is your favorite? Because I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan. What is your favorite Wes Anderson movie?
For me, it has to be the Budapest Hotel. I'm dying thinking about it right now. I love the Royal Budapest Hotel. Absolutely stunning movie.
And your favorite character? What's your favorite character in Budapest Hotel? Who's your favorite
It'll have
character?
to be the bellboy.
Take your hands off my
God, that's amazing.
He's so great. His expressions. I'm just like, guys. So for me, I was also channeling that because I'm not a good actress, right? So just some of the expressions, like trying to communicate through like, I also have a
Deadpan
weird
faces.
sense of humor. Yeah, like I've got a weird sense of humor. So I'm just so glad that some people get that video because others were just like, it's like he's strange. And then moved on.
You know what? It's good to be a bit weird, though. Let's be honest.
Hey man, weird people unite.
And now for something completely different.
This world is too straight, guys. Yo.
So I love the Grand Budapest Hotel, but my favorite Wes Anderson film is The Royal Tenenbaums. I'm obsessed.
Oh, that's also amazing. Don't you just love dysfunctional families as well?
Yes, because
Yo.
I my family is very dysfunctional, and my parents listen to this podcast. So, mommy, daddy, I love you, but but you know we are. You know that we're slightly unhinged, and that's okay because who wants to be normal, right?
I think the best art comes from families that have a bit of a, jagged story to tell.
Oh, I love that. So, I mean, we've been talking a lot about your collaborations, but your solo career and body of work is equally as striking and noteworthy. And your debut album, Zanelisa, How the Water Moves, that you released in 2016, was heavily influenced by the ocean and the waves and the way that the water moves. And you also released it independently. Was that at the same time that you started your label, One Shushu Day Artistry, that you were talking about earlier?
No, it wasn't. So 2013, I released an EP called Nali Tamba.
Okay.
Which was, it was a bit of a kind of snapshot, like, okay, this is what I'm thinking and this is where I'm facing. And it was, I saw it as a business card, as a way to talk about how I wanted to go about the full EP. So some of the songs have been extended into bigger ideas. They are from the EP. And I think there's only one or two things that I didn't redo from the EP. So Zanelisa is 2016. That's 3 years later. But that EP really helped me think about what happens from a song from inception, in my own personal private space to the crowd's reception. I even have this little document that I'm making for independent artists called From Conception to Inception.
Oh, wow, really?
I'm trying to find a name that's less corny, but I can't take away the cheese completely from
No, but I
life.
love that name because also it rhymes. Anything that rhymes in my book is great.
No, for sure. I'm definitely going to do it. I've been working on it for a while. Just all the things to think about in between creating and sharing. So 2016 was when I released the album, but the One Shushu Day artistry is kind of my vehicle to do things all creative, and it's been an amazing learning experience.
I'm so happy that you said that you're creating this document for independent artists, because I saw the other day that Jackie Queens recently put out a 4-page how-to guide for house music producers and collaborators that basically details everything that you need to know, from like the splits to the paperwork to releasing. And from your experience contributing to tracks that have gone on to become huge hits in South Africa, was it vital for you to have a hand in things like contractual aspects from the beginning, and like not just be involved creatively?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these are always tough conversations because we are engaging heart to heart and artist to artist and creative to creative. And sometimes not having these conversations intentionally can bring up a lot of tension in the, like later on. So I'm really glad that Jackie's doing this. It's a most vital document. And sometimes I say, like, when you care about the relationship, you put the paper down quite soon, actually, so that you protect the relationship. And that's a lesson that I think I didn't learn early enough. And some conversations have had to happen in retrospect, and they're not always easy to have. But I've been lucky to be blessed with people that are really great and have got good hearts and have good intentions. So I've come out on the other side of it, like well prepared, but also not to take anything for granted, especially communication within creative spaces.
Well, once you've put your document together, please let me know, because I would love to feature it on Texx in the City, because I feel like the more I work a lot with unsigned and underground artists, and I think the more artists get that can get their hands on that document, the better.
I'd love to share it. Yeah, I definitely will give you a heads up when it's done.
Yay! So you've played numerous festivals and events, but you have to tell me about being invited by the Prince of Bahrain to perform at 2 Seas Sessions, which, I mean, it's an acoustic event held in a studio located in the capital of Bahrain. Like, when you get the email or the call or whatever it was saying that, like, the Prince wants to fly you over to perform, like, what's the first thought that goes through your mind?
I thought it was insane. The agent that they hired to call me had to repeat it a few times, because I was like, excuse me, what do you mean? Where are you taking me? Like, who else has gone there and come back alive? I need proof.
Yeah, oh my God,
rude.
are they taking me there to like traffic me?
I didn't think of that at all, but I was like, which sheikh wants me to come and serenade him while feeding him grapes? But I did see a video of the King of Bahrain getting escorted by a giant robot the other day, which was really, really
my gosh. I saw that too. I saw that on Twitter, and he was wearing this funny shirt.
That was crazy. But I went and I met the most amazing, gentle people that love music. It's a family that's just crazy about music, but because of their status in society, they can't express it as freely as other citizens. And so what they've done with their passion for music is that they've built this incredible studio, which has been visited by people like Michael Jackson frequently. There's so many little love notes from Michael all around that studio. Like, hey friends, had a great time. Thanks for having me again. Eric Clapton had left his guitar there and was the last visitor before me. And they were like, would you like to perhaps try on Eric's guitar? And before falling over, I touched it and I was like, okay, fine. My harpist, my friend Sophie that I was there with, she's French. She was like, well, but you have to. and then I played, some of my songs on Eric Clapton's guitar. So
Wait. So you played Eric Clapton's guitar in a studio in Bahrain that's basically owned by like the royal family?
Pretty much. That was my life for a long weekend.
I mean, you've lived. Let's just say that.
And then the Prince of Bahrain made me steak, and I was a vegan at the time, so I had to politely move around the plate, while this beautifully made steak was sitting there. Yeah. So
what kind of steak was it?
One of those really thick ones. I don't know what kind of steak that is. I'm not really...
A thick cut steak, whatever. We'll just leave it at
that.
that.
Really, really thick cut. Yeah, it looked like a brick.
What else was on the plate apart from the steak?
I don't know. It's just it was like a huge buffet, but he had made the steak himself, and he
Oh
was very proud
no.
of it. So I was like, okay, I can't say no right now. I have to try find a way to, make it work.
Oh my gosh. But apart from two C's, I mean that's like a sort of like a life, one of those like life goals, one of those moments. But apart from that, what's been one of your most memorable performances for whatever reason? Like one that stands out to you?
Let me have a think. I think every time I play with Naomi Younger, I'm just like, I look at my life and I'm just like, is this real? Because
Like,
he's become.
have I been fetching my life?
I don't know. I was like, what did I possibly do in my sleep to deserve this? No, the thing is, he's an incredible musician. He's now my co-producer, and he's been my sounding board for this project I've been working on. And Blood, Guns, and Revolutions is co-produced with him. But I remember he actually is the writer to one of my favorite songs in the world called Born in a Taxi. So sometimes I'm like, okay, is this happening? And so we play quite often together. So I wouldn't really have a specific place. But the one concert where I had to pinch myself, I was standing in the Berlin concert hall, in the middle of town. I don't know what is it called, but I was there with the German youth orchestra, and we were playing songs that were made famous. They folk songs that were made famous by Miriam Makeba, and I got to perform in a sort of long tour in Germany and in South Africa with this talented young bunch of musicians. But all of these songs had kind of been rearranged for orchestra by Heinrich Hofmeier.
Oh wow.
So it was just surreal, because it was like I have such an intimate relationship with Miriam's music. I even reference her song a song that she made famous, also called Jigele Maweni Siyahamba, at the end of Blood, Guns, and Revolutions, and she refers to it as the retreat song, which is ironic because the miners were shot as they were retreating. And so I have this like other conversation with her on a plane as an artist that I'm really starting to value with her work. And so being able to perform her work for me was just a highlight.
That's incredible. What are some of the other things that you're busy working on now in lockdown? Like apart from Blood, Guns, and Revolutions, is there anything else in the pipeline that you can maybe share with us?
I'm working on a few projects for film. So I'm writing some music for a documentary film on post-apartheid South Africa. And it's quite an intimate look at, what happened to some of us that were quickly integrated into the quote unquote Rainbow Nation, and what that intimacy looks like, and what it broke to kind of what it's evolved to become. Looking at, concepts like white privilege, and looking at what's going on in South Africa today. So it's very hard work, but it's also really close to the stuff that I usually work on in my own life, in my own time. And I'm also doing a few scoring projects for some other documentaries. One being a Kenyan documentary on a lacrosse team.
Oh wow!
A lacrosse team, yeah, the first African lacrosse team to go to the national champs, and it's a bunch of girls from Kenya, and it's an amazing story. So I'm doing some work for that, but mostly writing for other artists and working on my own sophomore album. That's all I've been doing. Yeah.
That's incredible. But Msaki, I just wanted to say thank you very much for joining me on this pod. It's been a real honor, and I've been wanting to talk to you for a very long time. And I hope that one day we can do this in person, because that would be phenomenal.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm really glad that we could do this. I'm happy that you're home in Cape Town.
Yay!
You're in a good space. Yeah, no, thank you so much for this. And I really appreciate the time and space to go a little bit deeper in some of these things. It's quite a rare occurrence in this industry. So thank you.
It's only a pleasure.
4,000 rounds of bullets, ready to break black bodies again. 4 vultures, more tree vans, and whose hands of blood. fill the skies. Batupili, vow. Big-bellied politicians mutter about how you'll be remembered. Street names echo your fame, misused freedom songs, your names. Your blood trickles down broken drains, sometimes in vain. You see the kush of your youth was blood, guns and revolutions. Bullets in the air now, tear gas in your hearts. You see the kush of your youth was blood, guns and revolutions. Fists in the air now, tear gas in your hearts. Oh yeah, mama, yeah mama, balega mama. Oh balega baba, nanti melo no. Died with nothing still, although museums are filled with stories of your ill-rewarded heroic deeds. The gaze of the martyrs falls heavy on our wills, thick in the throes of youthful self-inflicted guilt. You see the kush of your youth was blood, guns and revolutions. Bullets in the air now, tear gas in your heart. You see the kush of your youth was blood, guns and revolutions. Fists in the air now, tear gas in your heart. Oh yeah, mama, hey baba, balega. Oh, oh, oh balega baba. Balega baba, nanti melo yelo. You raised your calloused hands for a share in your own land. Your blood flooded the foothill onto wealthy hands. The gaze of the sons and daughters falls heavy with bloody questions, thick in the lies of allies bound by miners' blood. You see the kush of your youth was blood, guns and revolutions. Bullets in the air now, and tear gas in our hearts. You see the kush of our youth, still blood, guns and revolutions. Bullets in your backs now, questions in our hearts. Oh, balega baba, balega baba, nanti melo yelo. Oh, balega, oh balega mambush, balega baba, nanti melo yelo. Yes, it's a jigala when he say jigala when he say jigala when he say jigala when he say Siamba bo, Siamba bo, Siamba. Don't us to let go, let's see Siamba bo. Siamba bo, ready to break black bodies again. Vultures, laundry lines, and whose hands are free.
Shout out to Msaki for joining us in studio. thank you for joining us for another Texx Talks. Be sure to check out textalks.com for more episodes. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and listen to Texx Talks on all good streaming platforms. From myself, Texx, our producers, Jonathan Ings and Matt Lutz, and our assistant researcher and collaborator, Al Clapper, catch y'all on the flip side.